Good morning, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here at Yeshivas Samanavshi in Yerushalayim Kodesh, located in Beit Knesset Chanukah Yeshivas on Rehov Zikron Yaakov number 6. We're close to the central bus station, so you're welcome to walk over, take a bus over, or if you drive, join us. If you're in Israel especially, if you come to Furst, we're happy to have you join our sharing here. And today is Yom Rishon of Parshas Miketz. We're continuing with the Gemara that we had started last week. Gemara is in Baba Kama, Rav Samech Amid Beis, and this will be related to Chanukah, which is a few days away. And I'm just going to read now just so we can catch up with the Gemara, and then we're going to go to the Morsha, which we left off last week. More in Rav Samech Amid Beis reads as follows: Yesi Rav Ami Rav Asi Kami de Rav Nitzak Nafka Mar Amalei Lema Mar Shmaisza Mar Amalei Lema Mar Agarita. So Rav Ami and Rav Asi were sitting in front of Yitzhak Nafka, and the fact that I looked this up, I found they do seem to learn that they were kaverim, that the Yitzhak Nafka was a gadol among them, but it's apparently some may be a rebbe of them, of Rav Ami and Rav Asi as well, but they do learn that they were kaverim, based I think on this Gemara itself, because you see the way the shakvikar between the three of them was a little bit not that you would expect the Talmud to interrupt in the middle of his rebbe's conversation. Rav Nafka, they asked, right? Rav Yitzhak Nafka was sitting. They was both Rav Ami and Rav Asi were sitting in front of Rav Yitzhak Nafka, which lends me to believe that they were talmidim, right? Because they were sitting in front of him, the Rebbe giving the shir, so to speak. But then they asked Mar. They said Mar Amalei Lema Mar. So one, but the fact that they're referring to Mar and Mar and Mar's master, the Gemara is referring each one as in a lashon, an expression of honor. So it seems that there was more or less a equality amongst them. Maybe not exact equality, but there was an equality amongst them. So one asked that the Rav Yitzhak Nafka begin with a halakhic inyan, and one asked that it begins with an agarit inyan. So pasuk l'meimor agarita. So Rav Yitzhak Nafka began to say agarita. Lo shavik mar shmaisa. So he didn't allow him to finish it. So he said, Amalei Lema Mar Garita, Pasuk Amalei Garita, Lo Shavik Mar, Pasuk Lamema Shmaisa. So they didn't allow him to finish his Agarita, so he started to say Shmaisa, Lo Shavik Mar, and he didn't allow him to finish either. So you see that they're interrupting him. So the fact that they're interrupting, that lends us to believe that they were not exactly Talmidim, but they were more or less somewhat equal, of equal stature. Okay, so he said to Rav Ami and Rav Asi, I'll explain to you the situation here through a parable. A person, a man has two wives. He has two wives. Achas Yalda, one's young. Achas Itena, one's old. Yalda milaket lo levonos. The young one is picking out the black hair, the white hairs from his beard. Zakena milaket lo shechoros, and the older wife is picking out the dark hairs from his beard. Nimsu korek mekan mekan. Turns out that picked him bald, left him with nothing. So, Samech Amid Beis. Samech Amid Beis. Right here. Right. Well, correct. He's left bald. So therefore, he said to them, if you're not going to be satisfied, each one with the agarita or each one with a shmaisa, with halacha, so I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something which is going to be, as Rashi explains, satisfying and desirous for both of you. I'll tell you both, as Rashi says, something which has both the garita and has halacha in it. All in one thing. What does it say? He quoted a pasuk, he say eish. Nimtza koitzim teitze ma'atzmo shalom yishalom ha'avir esa be'era. The pasuk in Eilu Mishpatim in Shmos says when a fire will go out and it'll encounter kotzim of someone else, it'll find a stubble, a field of somebody else. Teitze ma'atzmo, it went out by itself. So in that case, who's going to pay? Shalom yishalom, he'll certainly pay ha'me'avir esa be'era, the one who lit the fire. Even though the fire was lit in his own domain, right? The fire went to somebody else's rishus, right? Someone else's field, someone else's property. Even though the fire was lit in his own property, the Torah is mechayev the person who lit it, the fire.
Today, yesterday, tomorrow, there's big wildfires in Los Angeles. A lot of homes have been destroyed, so it's been a serious situation. It all comes from these winds, Santa Ana winds, which are 16 miles. And if one little spark there, the winds make a big.
That's all it takes.
So who's going to be right?
The one who lit the fire. The one who lit the fire. Even though maybe he was lighting in his own backyard.
Let's say he was smoking a cigarette.
Okay. Even in his own backyard, and let's say an ash of the cigarette goes and the wind takes it half a mile down the road and lights a field. From the field it lights the grass brush, and then from the grass brush lights the forest fire, and the fire, and it goes on and on.
It's not very easy to determine.
No, that's okay. That's a question.
So here, in the time of the Gemara, there must have been a very close relationship who was starting the fire.
Yeah, obviously we're talking about a case in terms of Dini Mamanish and Hoshen Lish, but based in, I would have to bring proof that the person was the one who started the fire. I mean, look, even, they have arson, the police, they have arson.
Well, it was a normal derech. He lights his stove to make the coffee.
Yes.
Okay, and there is some flame under the stove, and that
he has a din of shmir on the fire. You light a fire, you have to watch it. If he doesn't watch it, then he's liable for damages that it causes.
Exactly. That's the nature of fire.
Even in normal usage, he still has to be cautious.
Absolutely. In fact, if it's not, it was a ruch se'ena masuya, he'd be less likely for damages. But for normal, you're responsible for what goes on. You created damage. You have to watch out for any damage that it caused.
Okay. So now that's the halachic aspect. Now Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Alay l'shem es ha'be'er shavarti. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, upon me to pay for the fire that I started. Ani hatzitzi eish b'tzion. I set out a fire in Zion. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, it says eish b'tzion v'tovel es yuduseha. So the pasuk says the fire was ignited in Zion and it consumed its foundations, the base of Mikdash.
Zion is referring to the base of Mikdash.
Well, I would imagine, I have to really, to tell you the truth, I have to take a look at the Mufashim Eicha to tell you the truth about what's going on in the pasuk, right? That's a pasuk in Eicha, right? And I would imagine Zion refers to the David, the central aspect of Yerushalayim. And I would imagine the Yesodis of Yerushalayim could naturally mean the base of Mikdash. But if I have a chance later on today, I'll take a look at the pasuk and try and understand the pasuk according to the Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah. Mitzion, so Tosu says Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah. From Zion, there's a pasuk Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah. We say it when we take a Sefer Torah, right? From Tzion, that Tosus learns that's the actually seeing the avoda of the Kohanim in the base of Mikdash, right? But Tzion is basically understood to be Ir David, the close knit surroundings of the base of Mikdash.
Do you know the joke about that pasuk?
No.
Tzion. You know what Tzion in Yiddish means?
No. Sorry.
The device that when you pull your bed, it's called Tzion.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say Kimi Tzion when you're pulling your beard.
They so. Okay, good.
Okay, you just learned the joke that it's been around for a long time.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Oh, there's always something to learn. Good. So it says there, Ani Asi live noisa be'esh. So how is Hashem going to pay back Kivyochel the fire that Hashem started in Yerushalayim, in the base of Mikdash, and destroyed the base of Mikdash thereby? because Hashem is going to in the future build the fire, the base of Mikdash with Eish. And another pasuk, Va'ani eyeh la chomos Eish savi, v'kavod eyeh b'toicho. So then, therefore, there's going to be a chomos Eish around Yerushalayim. This is what we really began speaking about, which is related. We'll try and relate this again back to Hanukkah and Mitzvah Hashem. That there's in the future there's going to be a wall of fire surrounding Yerushalayim. Okay, and the reason is explained because that's going to fire is a consuming force which will protect Yerushalayim either figuratively or actually from all foreign influences. No foreign influences will be able to infect Yerushalayim in the future.
Isn't the third base of English supposed to come down, surrounded by H?
I think this is one of the sources of that understanding. Yeah, exactly. I think this is one of the ways we know this from this pasuk and from this Gemara. Okay, now we're going to go to the Marsha now to see what's relevant a little bit to us to Hanukkah, because the Marsha explains as Rashi. In the meantime, when we're going to the Marsha, I'll just repeat again what we learned in the Rashi there. The Rashi was saying that I'll quote you the Rashi. He takes in the atzma. The pasuk said the pasuk was darshan is that we know that the fire goes out by itself. Meaning the wind that comes and takes the fire. It's not if a person took a fire bomb and actually threw it onto somebody's property. That's a direct damage. You don't need a chiddush, of the Torah to tell you that a person's going to be chayiv from that, right? The fact that fire that went out by the wind taking it, and lack of shmira, the lack of caution the person applied to watching his fire, that's a chiddush from the Torah already, right? But if a person actually do something via dayim, an actual action on his own to destroy something through fire, that's direct action, and that's direct damage that have to be paid. So Rashi says, what does it mean? He tzeitzi me'atzmo, anachnu gamaranu loi shekolkoltanu, that we, meaning the Klal Yisrael, we caused through our deterioration, a lack of shmira of Torah and mitzvahs, to cause that the fire would go out from Zion and consume Zion rather. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is promising here as if he's the one who lit the fire, meaning it was really us who lit the fire, right? Because of our lack of mitzvahs. And Hashem, however, is going to take the responsibility as if he lit the fire. Just as a person, even though they can claim, well, the wind took the fire from my property and destroyed someone else's property, so I only lit the fire, right? But I didn't actually cause the fire to go into the other field. No, there was a subsidiary cause, the wind, and nevertheless, since there's wind, the Torah obligates the person who lit the fire to pay. So the Marsha is going to explain a little bit more in depth about how we understand the Rashi, and to understand the Marsha even more, we're going to go to a Gemara in Shabbos.
Is this Chazdei Hashem that he's taking the responsibility?
Of course. It's the English verse that then he could say that we'd have to rebuild the base of English, right? He's going to bring it down in a way that's going to be fully complete, according to this.
So those who say that we have to wait until Hashem rebuilds the base of English, we should be pushing it, they're using this Gemara as
I would think so.
As a source.
You have to ask them themselves to be sure, but they could possibly
it's a very controversial situation.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Two opinions.
Okay, well, look, if Hashem is willing to do it, I'm willing to let HaKadosh Baruch Hu do it.
You're willing to wait?
I'm willing to wait.
But wait, but patience is not a virtue that here in Eretz Yisrael. That's my
Well, I don't know about it. Well,
you say there is? Okay.
Yeah, so you have to be patient everywhere. Even in Eretz Yisrael, you have to wait for a bus. Okay. The Marsha is, we see, right on the test in the back. It's in the left-hand corner. And we will have the spot here. It's a liver maspil Teitzei Ma'atzmu Shalom Yishaleh. Have it, Rahmi? The Marsha should be before that. The Mashar in general is found after the Chidushi of the Asher, the Rosh, and then the Mashar usually comes shortly
What
after
was the
that.
Mashar's name and where did he live and what was
Okay, Mashar lived about in the about a good 500, maybe more than 500 years ago, approximately 500 years ago.
What daf? 10?
Tess in the
Mashar.
yeah, Tess in the Mashars. You have a little bit of you have a newer edition.
Yeah.
You have it there, Dibra Moscow.
Perik Lishon.
This is it goes according to the daf. Daf Samech Amud Beis. In the Gemara of the Gemara. Here, take this. Here,
Oh.
here take
He's
this.
got a different.
Here, you like me to take this right there. Right.
he lived 500 years ago, but what was his name?
Putting you on the spot.
I'm sorry. Where did he live?
I think it was Europe. I think it was in Europe.
Because knowing where a Gadol lived in the times affected us greatly.
That's true.
Because when I go to a polo in Queens, and so one day they have the Ikris Moshe from 1950, 1960. When you hear Moshe saying things and the sensitivity and how in his time it wasn't accepted.
Right.
He was a pioneer in the sensitivity of how to affect things. Like one of the big shalos is a lady in Queens is getting divorced, and she moves to Brooklyn. So she wants to have a bezdin. So the ex-husband says, "That's the in Queens. That's my bezdin." He says, "No, I'm living in Brooklyn." So Moshe said, for the sensitivity of the woman, that she shouldn't have to go to a strange place, so she could go to the Brooklyn bezdin. Except when it comes to Inyanei Kesef, and then she go to the husband.
Interesting.
That was a pioneering thing, but you had to know that this was 1950s where women's rights were
Okay.
500 years ago. Thank you.
Lord, you'd like to read the Mashar for us? Everyone have the place there. Tetzei Me'atzmo. Shalom Yishalei.
Tetzi Matzma Shalom Yishalem, it goes out by itself. He has the person who with the fire to pay the damages. Okay, V'chulu, Acha Kadosh Baruch Hu, Tali, Allah L'Shalem.
As the Gemara said, it's going to be as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu lit the fire, even though it was not caused by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the kilkul, as the Rashi explained. The deterioration of Torah and mitzvahs was caused by the Klal Yisrael. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can take responsibility for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim as if he himself had caused it. Now, what does that all mean? The Maharsha is going to explain to us.
Mavorki Mimenu Yisbarach Baruch Hu.
Yeah.
Okay. Lo Ella Hara.
Lo Tetzei
Lo Tetzei Hara. The evil did not come out from me. Kihu
Toiv
Hatov Hagamor. Because Hashem is completely good.
Right. So the question is, the point is made. The first the first basic principle is nothing, as we said last week, nothing bad comes from the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So if we look at the Beis HaMikdash, the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, that's a bad thing, right? So Hashem, the Ramosha is saying, you have to know the first principle is no, that nothing bad comes from the Kodesh Baruch Hu, right?
The Lo Yisayish.
Yisyachish.
Yisyachish.
Hara.
Alav.
I mean, you can't associate any raw to Kadosh Baruch Hu. You can't. A person to say that something is coming bad from Kadosh Baruch Hu, you want to avoid that at all costs. Okay, don't think that way. Don't say those words. Right? So what causes? This is a basic understanding of what goes on in the world. What causes destruction and evil and kilkul and deterioration in the world? What causes all these things? Right? What is the source of all bad in the world? That's a big subject, right? What's the cause of all bad in the world? Not a Kadosh Baruch Hu,
Right.
not at all. That's for sure.
Vahata Gorim Lehevi Hara. The hate, the
The
sins.
sins are
sins
what's causing.
cause
Sins
it.
are what causes the bad things in this world to come.
Umela,
Automatically.
Yeah.
okay. Umela
Besiluk
b'siluk
hashkacha.
hashkacha v'tavaso yisvar baruch hu, and it's clear that
No, yeah, umamele, and automatic mean once there's a chet, right, or chatoyim or sins, then mamele automatically there is a siluk hashkacha. There's a removal of Hashem's divine providence and the toivos of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right?
v'chainu ki teitze eish me'atzor. This is the fire that goes out by itself.
Right, so that's the meaning, that's the Marshal's meaning of what it means, right, in a higher level of understanding. What does it mean, what does it mean that the fire goes out from itself? The fire goes out, the destruction force of Eish goes out on its own, consequently, because there's a lack of hashkacha. There's hashkacha. What are we, when you're talking about a mishkiach in the restaurant, what's hashkacha? It's the same word, supervision. There's a lack of supervision, right? So there's a lack of Hashem's supervision of the world. Hashem's no longer, so to speak, taking a direct, active, positive, beneficial influence upon the world, because there's averas, there's sins, there's hate. So that hashkacha, that influence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is withdrawn. And Memela, by just like withdrawing that hashkacha with a fire, you remove your supervision from the fire. The wind's going to take that fire, it's going to go out. So the fire goes out ma'atzmo. How does that though? Because you're not watching your fire, right? So by Kadosh Baruch Hu not watching the world, not influencing the world for good, right? Therefore, the bad occurs.
So we're blaming the Rebbeinu Shalom when people do bad things?
No. People do bad things. And bad things, and people do bad
We're
things.
not blaming the Rebbeinu.
No.
Okay.
It's the opposite. The Marshal is saying the opposite. Only good comes from a Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Right.
So how can you explain bad things in the world? Because there are sins. People have bechira. People have free will. They go against the ratzon of Kadosh Baruch Hu. They do things which are not in keeping with the will of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, they do sins. When there's sins, a Kadosh Baruch Hu withdraws the hashkacha, the supervision of this world, and removes his toiv, the influx of good, of blessing in this world, and therefore, just like the fire being unsupervised, the wind will take it, and it'll go and burn down and do destructive things. So therefore, just as if when a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because of the sins of our sins, cause Hashem to remove his goodness from the world, and therefore that'll bring bad things into the world.
I don't mind, it's all our fault.
We have to take responsibility. That's the bottom line. We take responsibility. Right?
Tova legabe tashlumim amar Kadosh Baruch Hu anihu hamavor. I am the one who lit the fire l'shalom, and therefore I have to pay. Kiluhu ma'aver. Hamavi. He was the one who lit it.
Right. So, however, the another a special aspect of this that we see from this, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu in his goodness, even though that our sins cause the destruction, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to take responsibility for the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash as if he was the one who lit the fire. Now, there's one more Marsha, and this is going to be relating to Hanukkah in the following way, because hopefully maybe tomorrow we'll get to see the Bach, and the Bach explains there that there was what we call the source of the problems that arose in the time of Hanukkah were because what we call the Bach's lashon is hisrashlis ba'avoda, a weakness, a laxity in serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what the Bach is going to. We'll sure hope to see the Bach inside. It's important to see this Bach. The Bach is a parish on the Tur. The Tur was the son of the Rosh. The Bach wrote his commentary on the Tur, and lived about good 400 years ago or so, maybe. And he writes there that the source of the influence of the non-Jews, the Yevonim, the Greeks, was because it set
No, that's why you.
or was set off by a hisrashlis of a voter, a lax in a voter. Which-
The
a weakness.
above that was weaker.
Yes,
So now the environment was able to get bad things.
exactly. So let's see another Marsha, and then we're gonna try and see the Gemara in Shabbos, which will bring this a little bit into more focus about what the Marsha just previously said. But we have the Marsha now, another, Ani Atzasi Eish B'Tziyom. You have the next Marsha. The pasuk, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking, so to speak, Kiviyocho, that he lit the fire in Tzion. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lit the fire in Yerushalayim. Okay? Va'ani, have it there, Lon?
Oh, yeah, okay,
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I also yes, it's Eish B'Tzion. I lit the fire in Tzion v'chulu. Vani asid livbona be'eish. And in the future, I will come to build with fire.
Right. So just as the fire destroyed, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the fire, through fire will be rebuilt. Okay? Marsha says now.
Ramzu?
Ramzu bezeh. There's an indication from this.
Shalo Kamidas
Basar v'dam.
Basar V'dam Kamidas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the characteristics of humans are not like the characteristics of Hashem.
Right. Where the Marsha is going to give us a big understanding in that the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not the way we are, and we are not the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously, but we can learn from how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We're supposed to emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Of course.
That's our goal in life.
That is our goal. That's right. Okay, so let's see, how is it different, the midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu compared to the midas of Basar V'dam of people?
Uvo V'davar Shemakahu Merape, the one who wounds him will cure him, will heal him.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the characteristics of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is as follows. With the davar means the thing. Shemaka, the davar that destroyed, the thing that causes the wound, right?
Drop it will heal.
Will heal. With the thing that causes the wound, the healing will come from the same thing that causes the wound. Meaning, that's the pasuk said.
In this case, the Aish.
The Aish destroyed, and the Aish will be rebuilding. Okay?
V'chein Yashar Tapaya?
V'chein Yesod.
I
Yeah.
saw.
Oh, okay. Very good. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's that. V'chein Yesod Hapayit. The piyutim. You know, we have through the liturgy during different the piyutim. Many people say it. Many people don't say it. So the Yesod he established the one who Hapayit, meaning the one who wrote the piyut, the liturgy for the certain Yom Tovim. He set this up based on this thing, and he's going to quote that. Let's leave that part. The Marsha is reading Uriah from the piyut, but that's the yesod.
Okay.
That HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses that which causes the difficulty, the wound, the disease. He'll use the same thing to bring the refuah, the healing.
Is there a person that Hashem has created before the Machla?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the same thing, right? Well, that's something different. That says that the refuah is the Kadosh Baruch Hu brings the refuah before the makkah. But here we're seeing the refuah is coming through the same thing as the makkah. It's another aspect of the same thing. There's makdim the refuah before the makkah, that they're already before the thing which is going to be causing destruction of something like that, or the disease. There's always the refuah. There's always the cure right there already. But here it's saying that the cure is coming from the same thing which caused the destruction, or in this case the destruction, in this case the disease. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the more Shabbos.
And everything that we think is bad, there's some good element.
Yeah,
You have to find it.
You got to find it. That's why Hashem gave us
I
friends.
think that's what I've had the whole time.
Right. Okay. So the Gemara, that's the Gemara in Shabbos. Taf Samech Gimel. This is going to help us understand the Marsha a bit more deeply, and then. Yeah, the point that Marsha was making was that Kadosh Baruch Hu, not like people. People usually what they use to use as a cure is something different than cause the makkah. For example, a person got hurt by a knife. right? So you don't use a knife, right, to
Cure.
you use the cure, right? Person got burnt by fire, you don't use fire as a cure. So we see by Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's using fire as the refuah, as the cure. That's so that's the Daf Samech Gimel Amid Aleph. Mordechai, you want to get more Shabbos over there? That's Shabbos? Okay, pass me another one if there's,
There's
those above the comments, you have Shabbos? Okay, right. This is a Gemara, it's about, okay, a good 20 lines or so, from the bottom. We'll work on together if you know. And the last few words on the line are Amarav Chanina Bar Idi. Got it. Brachman, you have a Gemara, then you no Gemaras in Shabbos over there? No. Okay, 1 second. It must be okay. Any Gemara in Shabbos? The big one we have out already. You want to look on with Matthew? Okay, good. Okay, fine. Because maybe you want to take over and read a bit.
Where is this?
20 lines up from the bottom. The last few words on the line are Amarav
Samech Gimel?
Samech Gimel Amud Aleph in the Gemara in Shabbos. Amarav Chanina Bar Idi.
It's about right there.
I'm going to quote a pasuk in Koheles.
Amar Rabbi Chanina Bar Idi. Kol oseh mitzvah, whoever does a mitzvah, kama amara, v'shvim oto b'srot. Someone does a mitzvah, kama amara, as is said or is done.
Literally as it is said,
As
right?
is said. And Shvim, he doesn't get a bad tiding ever. Bad tiding.
Right.
Never gets a bad tiding.
They're not gonna tell him about any bad tidings. Shneimar brings a
Shema
pasuk.
shomim mitzvah, lo yeda davar ra. Whoever keeps the mitzvah will not know a bad thing.
Okay, stop. There's more of the Gemara, but I just want to make a few comments here at this point. Amarav Chanina Bar Idi, call anybody. Call anybody. Ha'oisa mitzvah kima amra. Anybody who does a mitzvah, ka'amra as it's said, that's going to be an explanation. The Maharshah's explanation what does it mean ka'amra. But it says, first of all, it doesn't say anybody who does mitzvot. It doesn't say all the mitzvahs. It doesn't say plural. It says anyone who also mitzvah, even one mitzvah. Anyone who does one mitzvah, apparently even one mitzvah, ma'amra. That's a big thing we have to explain. We won't have time to do that.
How it's said? Is it written or said?
Also,
Omer is to say.
So
I would think maybe you should say because.
Kikosa, very good. That's what the Maharshah is going to be explaining for us. I'm not sure we're going to have time to do that exactly today, but ma'amra, as it will explain what that means probably tomorrow. Ein mevasrim oso b'suras ros. It's not even told of any evil tidings. Shenemar shomer mitzvah. It's a pasuk from Keheles. Shomer mitzvah lo yada davra. A person shomer mitzvah, right? Lo yada. He doesn't even know from a bad thing. And it says here. The Maharsha and the others are Madaik in the pasuk in Keheles. Shomer mitzvah lo yada shomer. It doesn't say oisa mitzvah. It doesn't say he does a mitzvah. He's shomer. He guards a mitzvah. So I have to understand what does it mean he's guarding a mitzvah. Okay, but from this statement here in this Gemara, we're going to understand more about what the Bach is teaching us, that the situation of Hanukkah developed because of a Hisrashus Va'avoda. Hisrashus Va'avoda, as we saw in the previous Gemara in Bava Kama, right, and now with what the Gemara is teaching us over here, a person's shomer mitzvah lo yada davara. If he's shomer, the pasuk in Keheles says he guards over a mitzvah, even just one mitzvah apparently. Lo yada davara. He's not even gonna know of a bad thing. They won't even reverse him. They won't even tell him about bad things. Okay, now that's something which we're gonna have to spend time doing tomorrow to go more into this Gemara and see the Bach.
Is this gender related?
I don't think so.
So in other words, a man or woman who observe mitzvahs and they show mitzvahs, they're guarded for bad times.
That's right. That's right.
So it's,
Everybody.
It's inclusive.
Yeah. Anybody.
But not everybody.
Well, it says
not everybody knows that.
it says call. It says call, referring to everybody, right? Again, Amrav Chanina Bar Idi, Kol Ha'oisa Mitzvah, anyone who does a mitzvah, Kama Amra, we'll see what that means tomorrow, right? Ein Mevasra Nosov Basuras Toivas, they're not going to be told of any bad tidings. Shenemar, Shoimer Mitzvah, right? You guard a mitzvah, right? Lo Yada Davarav. A person who guards a mitzvah won't know Davarav. And from the opposite, you can see if a person is not going to be watching a mitzvah, even one mitzvah perhaps. So as the Marshal just taught us, that the Eish Seitz in Tzion was why the Eish came Mamela because of the Chet, right? Then the Hashgacha was removed, and the Torah, the influence of good into this world, was removed by Kadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore the bad things could happen, right? So that's going to be what we're going to pick up tomorrow with this Gemara once more again, and we'll hope to see the Bach, and we'll tie that Bach is talking directly about Hanukkah.
There's a difference between